Now, it's been a busy day on the markets globally as businesses are looming to wind down their activities for December holidays. For a look at how they are trading, let's get an analysis from Ricus Reeders. I think I pronounced it correctly, first time round. Wealth Manager at PSG. Ricus, welcome to the program. Thank you indeed for joining us. Let's possibly start how the local market's performing. We'll get to the big ones. Well, let's look at the JSE. What does it look like? A couple of spotty greens I saw earlier.
Well, that sort of turned to neutral and slightly down. I think the biggest move today, or the one that's catching attention, is Anglo-American Platinum, who's announced that they've completed their rebuilding of a converter plant that blew up earlier in the year, on time and on schedule. And again, as a result, that the price of Anglo-Platinum is up probably about 4.5%. But otherwise, unfortunately, the rest of the market, not such good news, following Europe and also Asia down, as I think two factors, one of which is obviously the coronavirus resurgence globally is taking its toll, and also from the American side, increased fears of more and more sanctions from the United States, from the Trump administration, as his in-office period comes to an end.
Yeah, I know we're going to get to the Asian markets and the US markets in particular, but I was pretty much impressed with the rand over the past couple of days. Last week, we kind of dipped under the 16 rand mark to the dollar. Are you happy with this performance against some of these stronger currencies? I know
yes,
with the pound, it's still looking rather bleak though.
If you're buying stuff in dollars, it's very good news. I think part of it is because there has been a move to there's been a general move to emerging market currencies to start off with, and obviously also from our side, if you take a look at what's happening with our imports and exports, we're not importing a heck of a lot yet, but we're exporting a lot of gold and platinum, so that's making the current account look good. And by definition, that will lend support to the rand itself.
The commodities as well. At one stage, gold was hitting close to the $2,000 mark. If you had any gold bars to sell around that time, you would have been quite a healthy man, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's pulled back, or did pull back about, I think, 25% from those highs. It was below the $1,800 mark last week only. It seems to have gone above that again, so it's trading at about $1,830, depending on when you look. And a lot of that has to do with dollar weakness. There's been a general global move out of the dollar and into things which aren't the dollar, whether it be, as I've said, emerging market currencies, and even currencies like the pound, and that's despite Brexit talks being on a knife edge at the moment.
Let's speak about the U.S. markets trading at the moment. I mean, stocks hit record highs on Wall Street Friday as traders took a discouraging jobs report. But then we thought of those, as you mentioned earlier, those proposed sanctions on China, in particular with Donald Trump leaving the office. But we did see the numbers as well look good on Wall Street when Joe Biden was eventually announced as the president-elect.
Yeah, I think, and possibly a lot of commentators have said it. Biden won, but he didn't win in such a manner that it will be democratic economic policy all the way. So there was optimism surrounding the Biden election, in that possibly some of the tension towards China might be slowed down, but not to the effect that current economic policy will be reversed. And that means that uncertainty has been taken out of the market. Investors and traders are looking at the whole scenario and saying, well, things are going to be possibly very much the same as it was. And if you get rid of uncertainty, that's good for market and market optimism.
And let's lastly dip into Asia. Shares there were mostly lower earlier today following reports of that US preparing to slap sanctions on a dozen more of Chinese officials, ratcheting up tensions with Beijing. But geez, some of them did well though. I mean, I think the Australia weren't that bad. They had a good one. South Korea stocks, they closed on a record high. I think 5th straight session they closed high.
Yeah, I think with Australia, very much like ours, or our market is being boosted by resource stocks. There's or the demand from China as far as things like iron ore and platinum and copper is actually increasing, and that's good for countries which produce these metals. Australia and us, for example. Also in China, they've had a blowout as far as exports are concerned. I think it's up something like 20% quarter on quarter. And that's good for South Korea, who's a big trading partner with China. So despite all these talks of and also implementation of various sanctions, China's economy itself is doing very well. And that will affect something like South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that China went ahead and, continued trade with North Korea, for example, despite the Americans saying, if you work with them, we will kill you. It says that China, projections for their economy, it looks good as well, looking to the end of this quarter.
Yeah, I think one should be a little bit cautious, because I think a lot of China's export at the moment was specifically to countries that were stocking up in view of the possibility of trade, of global trade coming to a halt as these coronavirus lockdowns and restrictions increase globally. So it could be a little bit too optimistic to say, well, this is going to go on for the next quarter and the next quarter and the quarter after that. But in the end, it was still a very good quarter.
Yeah, well, Ricus Reeders, Wealth Manager at PSG, thank you indeed for joining us. Thank you very much for the conversation. See, not too shabby. I know my money there in the boss anyway.